staff illness, I'm having to do most of it. So we're going to have somebody in between doing one slot, but then the rest is me. But the aim is that I will try and get you sorted for about 11-ish, like yesterday, so then you can go off because, you know, those chairs aren't massively comfortable. It's not super warm. But I am really thankful that you've made the effort to come this morning. So for those ones, if you've registered, I was going to point there as if there was a screen, but there isn't. You've got your screens. We will put this slide with the QR code at the end back up if anybody still needs to register. And if you can't register but you want to let me know that you were here, that's absolutely fine. Just come and tell me at the end your student number and I'll make a note of it. But again, thank you for coming in because this is usually the graveyard shift. The Tuesday morning is really hard to get people in. So thank you all for coming. Okay, so Harper Basics. I'm here to give you a little bit of a whistle-stop tour about certain things that all students should know. You have had access to most of this information before, but I know how it works. You don't really look at it until you're here and then you have questions. So we do a little bit of a wrap around and then if you have any more questions, I'll stay at the end. Or if you feel really brave, I'll ask at the end if anybody's got any questions. And if you want to ask, that's absolutely fine and I'll answer for the benefit of all. And if you don't feel brave and you don't want to talk to me right at the end, you can go and see one of my colleagues, really nice colleagues from Student Services at their desk, first floor for Sender, and they'll answer any questions you have. Right, so we're going to cover things like, obviously, welcome registration, so this, and I'll remind you again to register in a minute. We're going to talk things like posts, parcels, lost property, because we had it already, and we know that is always the case. I'm going to just remind you of what to do in terms of GP surgery, what is about in terms of catering, outlets and other shops, spaces on campus, laundress, because some of you will already need to do your laundry, shuttle bus, driving, and any bits that really you need to aim to do today. So that's the first part we're going to do. Then we're going to welcome somebody from Learner Support to come and talk to you a little bit about what they do. And then I'll just come back afterwards to do a little bit about wellbeing support. Okay, so that's me. That's my dog, Sam. And for those who are going to join us on the dog walk, well, not me, because you probably don't want to spend time with me on Sunday, but my dog, he's joining the dog walk on Sunday, along with another 3 dogs. So please, you know, do give him a fuss. He loves people more than other dogs. So I thought I'd introduce him already in case anybody was curious. So, and I'm really conscious that I can barely see above the actual lectern as well. In terms of post, parcels, and lost property is kept in main reception, and I'm going to give you a picture in a minute so that you know where that is. How it works is normally, if you've lost something in the bar, you probably have to do a little bit of a track, sort of 3 different places, because it depends whether somebody thought to either leave it in the bar office, in the welly. So sometimes the next day, when Ellie's in from 1 o'clock, you can go and check if there was anything from the night before, for example, and they'll have some stuff there. Sometimes it comes to Student Services, mainly ID cards, in which case we email you about it and say, you've lost your ID card, here it is, don't spend money on having another one printed. But if you do lose it and you actually do need another one, again, you just come up to Student Services, we'll tell you how you can pay for a new one, which is £8, and then we'll print one on the spot for you. Lost keys for bedrooms, for those that live here. You can get a spare key from security, and we can issue that up to like 2 days as just a spare until you find yours, because normally you do find it, and then you can give it back. If you do not return the key within 2 days, then we would charge you for the key, and that's £10. But the official lost and found at Harper Adams is in reception. So once you've done the bar, the Student Services office is always worth going to the reception. For example, I think somebody's lost or left a set of keys on the catering tray in QMH either this morning or last night. That's making its way currently to reception. So if you don't know where your keys are, that's probably where they're going to be. In the same place, or just next to it, it's about where you can collect your posts and parcels. So You can collect it any day between 8:30 to 12:30, 1:30 to 4:30, or 6 till 7. But in terms of having things posted to this institution, I would ask you that you use how it says on there. So your name with your ID in between, in brackets, and that's to help us identify who you are, because sometimes it's not clear. Write student mail, and then the university's address. You're more than welcome to take pictures if you like, but we're going to send you this presentation anyway. And that's just to help us, because we get hundreds and hundreds of parcels in post. And what the girls in the office do in the post and parcel, they'll look for it and then they email you to let you know if you've got any parcels. But the post, you need to check regularly if you live on site. And then just a nudge to tell you that once you go and live off site for the 2nd and 4th year, you will need to send your parcels to where you're living rather than here, because otherwise we can't cope with so many. I think the SLA for it is around 4 weeks. They'll hold post or parcels, but after that they'll return it to where it's sent. And if you are doing food, you're ordering food in, so like supermarket ones, you are responsible for those. So we can't take any of that, so if you don't happen to be in the room. But they are really good. They know where all the halls are. So give them as much instructions as possible and make sure that you're accessible when it's your delivery slot. Any questions so far? No. Here we go. So this is the back of the main building, the old building, and literally next to each other you've got the reception, the post and parcels, and the security lodge. And actually, this is a really important place because in this building, you have also the residence officers at night that provide support, particularly around pastoral needs, and you have security. So you can use the phone numbers, but if you actually needed to see somebody, you can just go and see them. That office is always staffed 24/7, and there's a doorbell. So you can just ring the doorbell, and they'll come to open the door for you. So you clear where that is? Yeah? Okay. So GP surgeries and illness. So the local registration, thank you for the many of you that registered on Sunday. If you missed it and you're thinking that you do need to be registered locally, it's not mandatory, but it does help because you are here for a large part of the year. Then you can just now go online and for Linden Hall surgery so that you can register online. And I really do urge you to do this before you actually become ill, because otherwise it can delay you seeing, for example, a doctor or getting a prescription. And this is flu season, this is freshest flu, and everything else that goes around, so you probably do want to get that sorted sooner rather than later, hence why some of my colleagues are actually off. Because I think Sunday was a busy day and lots of people coming from all over the country and brought all the bugs with them. But that also means about talking to you in terms of looking after yourselves this week. There's a lot that happens this week, and you know, some of you might get more sleep than others, some of you might drink more than others, some of you might eat more than others, some of you just are very good at looking after yourself where some aren't. So make sure you are having enough sleep, enough breaks, enough food, because otherwise you're going to run out of your battery very quickly, and then whenever that freshest flu comes, it's going to really hit you hard. It really is. And then if that happens and you do feel under the weather, you can, for example, ring the surgery if you think you need to see a doctor, or you can ring 111. If you haven't had to do that before, that's the general number that you can ring for advice on the phone from a doctor, and then they'll tell you what to do next. And then if you think that your illness is going to prevent you from going into lectures, it's courtesy to let your course tutor know that you're feeling unwell. So you drop them an email and just let them know. And if you think you need assistance or somebody to go, for example, for the K to students, to go and get you food or something because you're just like bedridden, full of the sickness bug or something like that, because there's lots of things going on. If you let student services or your SLRs know, we'll actually go and get your food for you, make sure that you're okay. And even sometimes when the parents ring, they ask us to go and check if their children are okay. We will do that for them, no problem. Out of hours, if you're feeling unwell, I would definitely recommend that you ring the residence officers. Do you know what residence officers are? So residence officers are members of my team that work specifically between 6 p.m. and 3:30 in the morning. So they're a point of escalation. So you see the guys all in the orange shirts, they're the SLRs, student life reps. And so they do a bit of sort of making sure that you're settling in, being around, doing tea and toast in Facenda as the evening events are going on. And then as a point of escalation to them, we have our residence officers, so it's Lucy and Aaron. These are the guys as well in a black shirt, you'll see them. They both work on a Wednesday, and then they go 3 days, each one on either side. They are there really for any kind of issue that you might have that you think you need to speak to a member of staff. But they're also really just good company, and you can just have a bit of a chat with them or a bit of banter with them, to be honest. So you'll see them a lot around this first week. After that, they start to do other things like going to halls, check for messy kitchens, give a little nudge for things to be cleaned, bins emptied, things like that. But there'll be a constant presence whilst you're here, and the work term time for you. I'm just actually seeing that the numbers are not really transferring very well onto this presentation. Apologies for that. So in terms of catering outlets, a lot of you will have found QMH, so the dining hall. You'll have found Caldi, which is the cafe just literally here in the library. There is Gray's, which is a bottom floor of Facenda, and there's Costa on the other side of the road. And then in terms of other facilities, you have the Welly, which also serves coffee during the day, for example. Ellie makes a mean mocha, if you want to know, or a cappuccino. And then there's the barn, obviously. And then in terms of shops, you have here on campus the feed store, and that's between 9 and 3 on a Monday to Friday, and then at the weekend, 10 till 2. And if you're not aware, they sell like some of our meat, for example, from our farm, and so, well, yummy. So like, you know, if you like meat, then that's a good place to go, particularly for barbecues later in the summer. And then we have the village shop and the post office. So that's a short walk up to the village. And just to remind you guys that if you're going on the back roads and if you're walking, because again, I've had another report, if you're on one of the lanes and you're walking, can you please make sure that you're moving to the side if the cars are coming past, because it's for your own safety. So the village shop and the post office is really useful because the post office, for example, in Newport, is always really, really busy. But Pam and Paul in the shop in the village, it's like a little treasure that nobody really knows about. So if you're having like things delivered or you need to like return packages, don't go into the post office in Newport. Just go to the one in the village because it's never that busy. And then in Newport, you've got things like your Aldi, your Lidl, Waitrose for those who can afford it, or they'll go after 7 o'clock at night when they have all the good deals of reductions. And you've got B&M and Pound Stretcher. There's also a market on a Friday and Saturday. There's plenty of cafes and pubs, takeaways, charity shops galore. And then further afield, we've got Tesco and Asda, Sainsbury's, and the Telford Shopping Centre. So, any questions up to that point? Nope. So, Health and Safety asked me to do just a brief slide on health and safety people. So rather than have a full presentation, so they've just asked me to highlight some things to you. So our campus is a north and south side. Those of you who have done the accommodation talk over open days, I tell you always there's both sides. And soon enough, if you haven't yet already, you will sort of start to see that, you know, life happens on both sides, lectures happen on both sides. But what he wants you to know is that our health and safety manager is that it's busy. That main road that intersects is a busy road, and it's a fast road, even though it's only 40 miles. So Cainton Road and Flat Road. So Cainton Road is this road that comes this way, and that then follows after the crossroads to the other side, to Flat Road. Obviously, that one has no sort of crossings from here to that side or at Flat Road. So you need to be careful and you need to be aware of vehicles all the time. And particularly if you're joining Cainton Road from Campus Road, so if you're pulling in with your cars, be careful because there are loads of agricultural vehicles. Last week we had an accident on here and, you know, it was only by virtue of a couple of seconds that the car didn't get stuck under an agricultural tractor trailer, and it would have been quite serious. So just be careful when you're pulling out, particularly during the day when you can't see what else might be coming. Then you have the Shrewsbury and Newport roads, so that one over there, that's 40 mile an hour. Please, where you can, use the Pelican Crossing, press the button, even though it beeps all the time, and you have to wait. And if you're driving, we have about at least 6 collisions on RTCs on that crossroads, and invariably, they'll involve students as well as members of the public. So be careful, okay? If you're not particularly confident in terms of traversing the crossroads to the other side, then perhaps you just need to think of alternative ways of doing it, or where you might park your car if you're using if you're coming out of the campus frequently. There's probably better ways or easier ways where to leave your car to then be able to join the main road. If you need some advice on that, let me know. I lived on this site for 12 years, and it took me quite a while to feel confident about the crossroads. If you do get involved in an RTC, it's really important that you ring security, because when you're involved in an RTC as a young person, a young driver, and then with local or not so local people, invariably people are going to try and say it's your fault, and it's not necessarily your fault. So I'd like you to do 2 things. One is, if you are involved in one, that you ring security so they can come across, also check for anybody that needs first aid, etc. But also so that we are aware. And for example, we can cut footage so that if the insurance companies need it, that you have it. And the other thing is that we'll just make sure that there's somebody to provide you support, because it can be quite intimidating for some people if they're involved in an RTC, and then they might have somebody shouting at them and saying that it's your fault. I don't want you to feel that you have to deal with it on your own. So you just call security, and they'll either, if it's during the day, call one of us and we'll come down and support you through it, or then it would call an RO after 6 o'clock. But just be careful. And then there's another pathway sort of that cuts across the road, sort of by, if you go to the main building, there's a path that goes towards the vet center. Again, be very careful, because there's no Pelican Crossing there, and the cars are not quite, some of them, quite slowed down to 40 either. So just be careful. Generally walking around the site, use footpaths. I feel like I'm talking to children. I'm so sorry, but I've been asked to tell you all of this. But make sure that you're using footpaths where available, and where there isn't one, that you're walking to the side of the road, okay? And beware of what's around you, beware of vehicles, and give way to vehicles at all time. This is really important for those of you that, for example, are going to do a lot of work up on the farm. So we have a road that goes internally towards the farm, and there is a little path for people to walk on. But if there's like 6, 7, 10 of you going together, it's pretty narrow for all of you. So if you can hear a vehicle coming, can you please just do like the bicycle people and just fall in line into one, if that's okay. All right, let's go. And also, campus speed is 5 miles per hour, okay? Oh, I haven't gone too quick. Here we go. So, I just want to make sure that I don't miss. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about spaces around the campus, and both things for those who are commuters to think about that they can use this space, but in reality, it's for all students, because even those that live on site, they're not blessed with great communal spaces, let's be honest, particularly in some of the areas. And so it can be a bit overwhelming, or that you might feel that you're stuck in your room all the time. So I'm just going to talk you through the different spaces that you have on campus that you can use at any time. So you've got first in the ground floor where the SU is, but also where we have the sort of what they call it, the commuters area by Grays. You can go and sit in there anytime you like. It's nice, it's warm. It's got some space that you can either eat your food or do a bit of study. It's pretty well used actually during the year. If you like it a bit quieter, there are spaces and rooms that you can book in the first and second floor of the building. So if you come to student services, we'll be able to book some of those if you need it. But even if not, on the top floor, there are some desks with computers that you can use that are much quieter, for example, than perhaps some of the areas in the library. And then we've got Costa Cafe, so on the other side of the campus. So if you've done the campus tours yesterday, and they're still running today as well from 4 o'clock, they'll point out to you what the building is, but Agri-Happy, there's a Costa Cafe in there. It's used by everybody. Lots of the students, particularly if they've got most of their lectures on that side in the morning, they'll use the place as a bit of a break. You've got Caldi, as we said. We've got the library foyer as well as the library. We've got bookable rooms. And then there's the RFA that's got a massive exhibition space. And actually, sometimes you'll have, it's quite a space, but it also has some trestle tables and chairs and things that you can use as just a space. So if it's not being used for an event, you can use that as a space, for example. But also, if you wanted to do some kind of activity, that's a bookable space. Same goes with Western ground floor and first floor. A lot of our students like to go and base themselves there for doing some of their work and their studies. And the vet center is open to all students, not just vet med students. In fact, the vet nurses and the vet physios also have teaching in there. And you've got the QMH dining hall. So when they're not serving food, you can go and sit in there. Like if you're doing a bit of coursework together, group work, you could go and sit in there. It's ideal for that in terms of a space. And the Wellian, they're quite happy, as Daisy said yesterday, they're quite happy for you to go in there during the day. You do not have to purchase a drink. If you just want to go and sit in there for a bit, if you want to do a bit of reading, if you're doing a bit of work in between lectures, you can just go in there. Of course, some of you might choose to grab a beer or a coffee after 1 o'clock, and that's absolutely fine. And then we've got the Peace Garden. The campus can be quite noisy, can be lots of people around. There's a corner of the university, so just behind the main building, so further from where I've shown you where security is, where it's just a quieter space that we've developed, and it's also sort of a bit of a space to reflect and to remember some others, but it's a gorgeous place. It sort of overlooks a pond, but also the fields, and usually we have some of our own farm animals grazing on the fields. And particularly if you live on campus, you will see as the weather, in the seasons come, like sunsets are absolutely beautiful in that corner. So if you're going for a walk, stop there, stop for 5 or 10 minutes and just appreciate the area. As residential students, then I'm just telling you sort of a little bit. Again, we'll try and circulate the links of your whole handbook that you've already had. So, shared areas, they're cleaned daily, Monday to Friday. Bedrooms, if they're not en suite, once a week. If they're en suite, twice a week, I believe. Cleaners will not pick up clothes from the floor. They will not move all the things to do the dusting. So you do need to keep your bedroom sort of to a reasonable standard so that they can clean, so that you're living in a clean environment. And you do have to give access. So if you, for example, stop the cleaner from coming in for 3-4 weeks in a row, then they will tell us, and we'll just have to give you a bit of a nudge, because actually it's to make sure that you're okay, that you're not, that your room is not an absolute tip, and that that nothing, that everything is working properly in your room. That's part of the reason why we have housekeeping. It's for your own welfare, really. And if you've not discovered you are absolutely responsible for emptying your rubbish and recycling. And in the last year, the government has changed all of the guidance, and they've become a whole lot stricter with certain organizations and spaces in terms of what is required of their users. And absolutely, we are under those regulations, which is why you're seeing all these bins with all the different things, but also in the bins outside, in the skips, all of the guidance, and we need to comply with it, okay? So do not be, don't be pissed off if we're sending you an email to say, look, you need to make sure that this is done. But also be responsible for each other. If a bin is full, don't wait for the next person to actually empty it. It takes 2 minutes to just get it done. And now that they've taken the little bins in your bedroom, you actually do have to walk to the kitchen to empty some of your own stuff. So if you're going to have your own bin, you'll have to sort of bring your own and then get rid of it yourself as well. In terms of communal areas, please keep areas relatively tidy. So kitchens, because kitchens and bathrooms that are cleaned regularly. So to show as well some respect for your housekeeping staff. They're there looking after you. If they're coming in constantly to corridors in an absolute mess, or kitchens in an absolute mess, or bathrooms in an absolute mess, they're going to be, not as friendly, not as supportive, and they will start to call out behaviours to student services of things that they think is inappropriate. So just look after them. We all understand, we've all been students. You've had a night out, and it went on until late, and you go, oh, well, I'll clean that in the morning. If you're going to do that, put a note out for the housekeeping staff to say, please do not worry, we're going to clean this later on. That's just a bit of courtesy. And then they'll just leave you alone, and they won't even tell us that the kitchen was in a mess. But if you don't, and you're constantly leaving it like that, then of course they're going to be asking us to sort of have a word. And if you have any faults, damages, or as we have at this time of the year, when people are drying clothes in rooms, which really you shouldn't, if you start to see any kind of condensation, heavy condensation, or spots of mold, please can you report that as soon as possible so that we can come and see, evaluate, treat if it's necessary, advise, for example, on what you should do if you're drying anything in the rooms, in air circulation. So, for example, if you've got an ensuite, if you're having a shower, you should absolutely shut the door on your ensuite so that the fan is drawing away all the moisture from the air. If your fan's not working, you need to report it, because otherwise that's going to get things, you might get a bit of mold. Anyways, or as we are advised, seasonal defects. Key replacements, we've talked about it. You go to security and they'll be able to get it for you. And then, really important, room lock protocol. So, when you're in your accommodation, you think, oh, I'm just going to go to so-and-so's room down the corridor, so I don't need to take my keys. If housekeeping or estates or any member of staff are going into a room to do whatever work, and regardless if it was open when they found it, when they came in, they will always lock it afterwards. So there are two things you need to carry at all times, which is your bedroom key and your ID card. And I've told a lot of people on move-in day, you don't have to carry it around your neck. I'm absolutely fine with that. But you need to have your ID card on you, particularly as well because you need it for most of the accommodation to swipe in, but there are other areas of the campus. And you will see around information that you can actually load money onto your card so that you can use it on the catering outlets and get, I think it's 10% discount. But if they also come into your room, what they're supposed to do is knock on the door and ask for you to come to the door. If you don't answer, they'll do a second time. And then if you don't answer, then they would knock and say, right, we're going to come in, just to announce, okay? And if they've come to do some work, particularly if it's estates, they are to leave you a card to tell you that they've been in the room. If that's not happening, can you please let student services know? Because that's really important in terms of our compliance with the accommodation code. As part of the tours in the afternoon, you also can find where all the laundrettes are on site. There's one by Jeb on that side. There's one by Leverhulme in Jarman on that side. It should be sufficient. I am told they've changed the system this year and it's a slightly different procedure, but there should be information in there. And also, if you go to the circuit website who operates these machines, there's loads of really helpful videos. So I've put a scan on there as well so that you can access it. So it's an external service. To do a full wash between washing and drying is about £5, but if you overload, particularly with a dryer, then it will take you longer to dry. And you have to produce your own, you have to take your own detergent in. If you've never used a washing machine, it is not rocket science. Like, get yourself the tablets, chuck one in, chuck the stuff in, press the button, and just wait for it to be done. And just hope to God that it wasn't overloaded and it was able to do a good rinse. It is a bit potluck. Even when I was at university 20 years ago, it was potluck sometimes. So if you're blessed to either live close to home or go home regularly to do your laundry at home, well, you're the lucky ones, to be fair. Okay. There is also, if you think that our laundrettes not what you're wanting, there is a laundrette in town on Gravelly Drive. Again, I think it's still self-service. but it's probably bigger machines as well, and not as many people using it at the same time, so you might want to consider those ones as well. Right, so shuttle bus and driving. So shuttle bus, we have a contractor that comes in and provides transport between the campus and Newport, and now that we've got Telford campus at 3 times of the day, also goes to the Telford campus and back. It is free this week, so you're more than welcome to use it. And then we have tickets that you can purchase even now. You've got a day ticket, a weekly, termly, yearly, and put the scan on there so that if you want to buy the tickets. So Monday to Friday goes campus, Newport, Telford. On Saturdays, it goes campus, Newport, and the retail park. So if you're doing Aldi shop, Lidl shop, at least you're close by. And then also on a Sunday, it goes between here and Telford Town Centre. So Telford Town Centre, there's a big Asda, a big B&M, and all the other shops. And some people prefer to do their big shop that way. So I've got the scan and the link so that you can access it, but we also have some timetables in our own office in Student Services and for Sender. And for those of you that are returning, times have changed slightly to be able to accommodate Telford. So if you were a user previously, make sure that you go and check the new timetable so that you're not caught out. In terms of driving and parking on campus, so this was the other team that told me to give you some key messages. So this is our porters team. Drive responsibly on campus and surrounding areas. If we find that you are unable to comply, then we might have to ask you to consider alternative parking for your car. I do need to tell you this because we've already had reports. Drink driving or dangerous driving will always be reported to the police because it potentially puts you guys at risk and other people at risk. So please do not feel tempted to get in a car and drive if you've been under the influence of alcohol or any other drugs. Parking on campus is permitted as long as you've registered. Anybody still needing to register their car? Oh, good. Brilliant. So if that's the case, as long as you park between 2 lines, you should be absolutely fine. They do have a system in place that can operate fines. That's an external company. And in terms of really important, do not park on the coach bays in the QMH car park. Once this week is over, the QMH car park by Bradford will reopen, and then, for example, Bradford residents, but other people as well, will be able to use that one. But keep to the bays. Do not go on checkered lines in other areas, please, because that makes our life difficult to go around doing our maintenance and everything else. And for more information, there's actually, believe it or not, a car parking policy. So if you want to read it, the link is down there. Before I just go to Jane shortly, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about reporting incidents and concerns. So Ken talked to you yesterday in terms of what he expects of students and interactions between students and respect between students. If at any point you either witness or experience directly firsthand any kind of abuse or any kind of other incident, you can report this. And there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can just come up to Student Services and speak to somebody in the team, even informally, to just have a conversation. You can speak to the residence officers at night, for example, the SLRs. But if you actually want to make a formal report, you can go straight to the conduct team. And even then, you still have an option to have first just a very general conversation before any action is taken. But if you choose to report an incident, whatever circumstances it is, we can assure you that we will investigate and we will sort of follow it through to completion. If you do not feel that you can put your name to the claim, you can do an anonymous report. So what I've just shown you on here is that we have a page that specifically tells you the difference and the scope in terms of what we're able to do if complaint is made, sort of a named complaint or a reporting of an incident or concern, and if you do it anonymously. And once you click onto that, then you can click in to actually fill it in, or you can just come and see us. But if you wanted to know what it was like, I just wanted to sort of really highlight this to you. And any concern, So that's not even just sort of a disciplinary matter. So if it's a well-being matter that you feel that you've observed or yourself, and you don't want to go straight into well-being, you can do it through this process. Oh, sorry, I've gone back. Sorry, can you put me my last slide? I'm trigger happy, I think. Right, and the other one. Brilliant. So, tasks still to do for this week if you haven't done already. Complete your inductions, your digital induction in particular, but also library, labs if you're going to use it, farm if you think you're either going to be working or studying at the farm or just going for a walk. And then the mandatory training. So this is the training that we've been asked by the government to implement. It's been a bit of a soft launch. So we're going to see how we get on after these first couple of weeks, but we'll probably be pushing for everybody to be completing it afterwards. So if you've got time, do complete the mandatory training. If you didn't get the link, we will be sending it out again, but if you refer back to the emails you've been getting over the last few weeks, you'll see it particularly on the one last week. Check your timetable for next week and where the classrooms are. You can get it from your app, and if you're not seeing your timetable yet, you need to get that sorted this week, please. Complete your GP registration. If you're not sure you're in the right course or you have any concerns around your course, speak to your course tutor sooner rather than later. Some students come thinking they're going to do one course and actually think, oh, actually, I think that course is better suited for me. It is possible to transfer, but not always, because it depends as well on what you come in with in terms of subjects, etc. But it's worth a conversation. But you can only really swap in the first 2 weeks of term, so next week and the week after. So if you think, even if it's just so that you're not sure if it's the right course, have that conversation with your tutor. That is really important. If you have sort of like any concerns about student experience, well-being or support, you can speak to the team, student services, SLRs, residence officers, and they'll signpost you to the right people because it's the beginning of your journey. You won't know everybody. And just a reminder to everybody that drugs, smoking, vaping, and candles are strictly forbidden in all of our premises, including all buildings. In relation to drugs, it is a zero, not a zero tolerance, I didn't mean that as such. It is a drugs-free campus, which means you know, please do not take drugs or consume any drugs anywhere on campus. In terms of our policy, we have a harm reduction approach. So what that means is we look to support a student rather than just punish, unless obviously it's something like dealing. But I will tell you something, we have already had reports too, okay? And we will be following these up. Attend the fair on Friday. Go and have a wander in Telford or in Newport to see what it's like outside of this campus. Do some washing, take a shower, catch up on sleep, and eat, please. These are basic 4 things you should be doing now and every day. And check in with your family and friends. For a lot of your family and friends back home, they'll be anxious to see how you're getting on. So if you haven't yet had the time to give a call back, I know my nephew's gone to university and he couldn't care less about his family. He's not rang one single one of us. But just ring home, okay? Just send them a message if nothing else. And also tell them not to panic, that sometimes you might run out of battery and that as soon as you've charged your phones, you will ring home, because we also get those calls in our office. And if you just have any worries this week, speak to somebody and ask for help. Okay, right, so I have already spoken to you for 44 minutes. Sorry, Jane. So I'm going to let Jane come through so you can have a bit of a break. You'll have this slide that has all of the contact details, but you've had all of these previously, and I'll let Jane be next. You have to point that way.
Wait a minute. Which one is it?
It'll come up in a minute. Here we go. And it's
Which one am I pressing? The right one?
that one, but you just got to point that way.
Lovely. And am I finishing off or?
No, I'll come back up.
So literally, I'm going to be 5 minutes. I'm just going to keep it. Oh. Okay. If you're happy, well, I'll just get on and do a very short presentation. I'm only going to be a few minutes. One of the things about coming to university is finding out what's available, and that's my job today, is to tell you what's available to help you start your studies at Harper. So the first thing is we have a wonderful academic guidance team with maths support. So they're really here to help you transition into university, learn the skills that you need to start your work at university. So that can be things like how to use AI, how to start an assignment, reference, that type of thing. And we also have maths support. So sometimes you might find that you think you've left GCSE maths a long time ago, but perhaps if you're on vet nursing or the Realm course, suddenly maths comes back again. Again, we've got a maths support tutor who can go over some of these calculations with you. So don't hesitate to access that support. So how do you access academic guidance? They've got on the Learning Hub, which you've maybe already seen, they've already got a page there. They've got lots of resources. They have one-to-one bookable sessions. And last year, I think we did over 2,000 one-to-one sessions where students booked in and came and had a one-to-one appointment. They do a lot of workshops around campus, so they'll be advertising these. So kicking off this year, they're looking at things like page numbering. I know it sounds a really boring thing, but it's incredibly important to get your page numbering right before you hand in your assignment. They'll be looking at using AI, that type of thing, and getting your first assignment off the ground, interpreting the brief, understanding what's required. So we're not technical specialists, but we are able to look at the sort of more academic writing side of things. And they will also be coming into your workshops in the group tutor sessions, so that you'll see them throughout the year, and you'll hopefully then make contact with them at some point during your course. We see sometimes students will come back into their final year, and they'll come and maybe discuss more about critical writing, that type of thing. So the other area is sort of more on the learner support side of things. So we support students with dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, mental health, autism, hearing and visual impairments. And about 30% of students already have shared information with us. So it's really important that you come and have a chat with us and tell us about what you might need at university. And we'd like to do a student support plan with you. I think about 25% already have made contact with us. So I'd encourage anybody else to do so. We create the student support plan that looks at your exam adjustments, it maybe looks at consideration for extensions for your assignments, that type of thing, or any other information that you'd like your course team to be made aware of. So really encourage you to come and have a chat with us, find out what's available. And if you're sitting there thinking, I haven't told the university anything, but actually I do have a long-term medical condition that impacts on me, then come up, have a chat with us, find out what's available, and then you can decide what you want to do. We offer free screening, so a lot of students will come from college and school where maybe there's been a conversation about dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, but they've not had the opportunity to explore it further. So we offer you a free screening, and then we'll chat through with you about the next steps. And some students might have what they call a formal assessment that will, a diagnostic assessment then to see if they do have dyslexia or ADHD in an educational setting. We support students through applying to the Disabled Students Allowance if you're a UK-based student, and that has been a bit challenging last year. So if anybody's stuck in that process, please come up and see Ella, who's in our Learner Support Office on the second floor of Facenda, and we're really keen to help you through that process. So just very quickly to touch a little bit more about the free screening. If you're thinking, that you've always run out of time in exams, you find it really hard to get your ideas down onto paper, maybe about spelling, staying focused, organising tasks, then we can do a screening test that covers dyslexia, dyspraxia and ADHD. And as I said, we ran a lot of these last year, over 170, mainly for first-year students. Really good opportunity to come and find out. What you do is up to you. You don't have to do anything afterwards. A lot of students will then say, that's fine, I won't decide to progress. Other students like to then go for a more formal diagnostic assessment. If you do, then that assessment allows you to get extra support in place, sometimes through the Disabled Students Allowance. So certainly something to think about in first year. We do sometimes see students in second and fourth year. That's absolutely fine. But my advice would be, come and chat to us this year and see what's available so that you know if you want to proceed. So we're a very friendly team. We're on the top floor of Facenda, above Student Services. And what we just say, come and have a chat with us, book in, and come and see what's available. We have a lot of information on our student life, which is on the SharePoint page. You can book in directly through that and come and see us. So again, if you've got any disabilities or dyslexia, dyspraxia, please do come and see us and get your student support plan in place so that we can then share that with your course tutor. And I think that's me finished, Joe, if that's everything at the moment. I think hopefully that's just giving you an idea of who we are and where we're based.
So I'm going to sense check. Shall I just power through with the 10 minutes and then we go? Yeah? Okay, well, let's do that then. So this is the one that was going to be one of my colleagues that was going to do it, but I'm just going to talk you a little bit through it. In terms of the wellbeing team, they sit in student services, and they're sort of just wanting to highlight in a very quick manner your guidance really of support and how you can access that sort of support here at Harper. So we have a team that has a student wellbeing officer and a life coach, somebody who is a wellbeing advisor, as well as a sexual violence liaison officer. We have a counsellor, a wellbeing advisor that's currently sort of focusing more on the vet school, but also supports the wider group. We have a mental health advisor. We have the university chaplain who also does mentoring and coaching and nutrition sort of support. And we also have an occupational therapist who, although is currently on maternity leave, she'll be returning soon, and we're still able to provide that support. They wanted us to let you know in terms of what can this support look like. So it is one-to-one support sessions. Appointments can be in person, over the phone, or Teams. So whatever you feel most comfortable with, it's absolutely student-led support. So we are not going to force you to engage with support. We might offer you loads of time, but it really is for you to say whether or not you want to engage with the support, and you can tell us what you're hoping to get out of it, because it might be different things at different times. And it's discreet and sensitive to your needs. How do you access it? So you can complete a self-referral form. So in the same area that Jane was talking about in terms of student life on the intranet, if you click on there, there's one for wellbeing support, and we have our own sort of area in it. So you can complete a self-referral form, and some students have already. Thank you very much for that. Which one that we will triage and then put you in touch with the right person. So this means we might give you a call, check what is it that you're hoping to get from the team, and then we'll point you to the right person. So we'll make you an appointment with the right person. You can also, sort of just if you just want to, you can just find out about what support is available by ringing us, popping up to student services to talk to somebody from the team, or just emailing them directly. We do have a bit of an open door policy, so if we have a member of staff available and you just need a quick conversation or an initial quick conversation, you can just pop up, and if somebody is available, they will see you, or we can make you then a quick appointment. And you can talk to student services, so in terms of maybe not right now, but making an appointment for later on, or to see what other support is available. As long as you then give consent, we can ask the team to be in touch with you. And the same is with the tutor. So if you're talking to your course tutor, and actually as part of your course tutor session, you both agree that perhaps you might benefit from a referral to the wellbeing team, as long as you give the consent to the tutor, then the team can just contact you rather than you have to make that first step, which can be quite daunting. If it's about just anything else, so something you experienced, but you just want to chat lightly to somebody, the team is available, or if you need to sense check or soundboard with the team as well, there's always somebody available for that. When and where can you access this support? So we're here Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 usually, on the first floor of Ascender, the same building that Jane showed you the picture. But we can arrange for appointments outside that time, as long as they're done in advance and they're of mutual convenience. So if you didn't know what student services look like, so the high point, the one at the front, is the student services main inquiry area. So as you come up the stairs in first floor, you see us right at the front. We have sort of a waiting room, which is the one on the side. And then in terms of the wellbeing rooms for one-to-ones, we've got 3 currently, but obviously we do also online and over the phone. And also actually, just for those that prefer, via email as well. Out of our support, we've talked about this, the residence officer's number, security that is 24/7. There is a member of staff on call 24/7, so if out of hours you need to access somebody because of an urgent issue or emergency, if you speak to, I think they want us out of here before 11, I think. If you need to speak to a member of staff, if you ring security and they'll get that member of staff to you. And then we have the assistance program. Many of you on move-in day, you will have seen them, both the rural Shropshire network of support, but also the student assistance program that you can ring 24/7. And you will get this information over and over in the next few weeks. But always, if there is an emergency and there is a risk to you or others, an immediate risk to your others, or if it's a crime in progress, the first step is ring 999 and then you ring security. SharePoint, so in that area of the intranet, you'll see there's lots of different resources that we've got, self-help resources, external services, a section explaining what the support to study is, the process and all the resources, where you can find the self-referral form and blogs from the team, which we usually share out. That's the assistance program. So as you can see, it is not just so that you can speak to somebody about your well-being, but you can access other things like advice on tenancy and housing, legal advice, financial well-being and debt management, for example. And you can engage with other bits like sort of talking about medical information, support for sexual and gender identity, and even issues that you might be experiencing with your family. So it's quite a wide range of support services that they can offer that we procure them to do. And we also have this app, which is Wisdom, that has lots of different bits that you can do, so self-help stuff, and it works really well for some of our students. There we go. So you can just ring through, you quote that number, and then we can get on. Right. I'm not going to read you through all these testimonials, but what I do want to tell you is our wellbeing team is super. And for those that need it, if they take that first step, actually you might find that they are the first bit of support that you need to sort of make sure that your journey is a positive one, or to just support you along your journey here. So when you get to the actual slides, you might actually want to read some of them. But I would definitely say to you that as a team, we do a lot for our students. So key services, they'll have the links when you get it. It's got all the email addresses, the well-being, student services, the telephone numbers, and everything else. Don't just go just yet, okay? Right. There's some additional stuff in terms of all the different areas that we have, particularly around as well in terms of sexual violence support and occupational therapy, which is very different to occupational health, just if you didn't know. So thanks for listening. I know I've put, everybody's on tenterhooks to go. We're coming up to 11 o'clock. I really appreciate you coming today. The order of the day today is really, if you need help or if you've got a question, you only have to come forward. So you have a great day. Make sure you attend that session today at 2 o'clock. There's campus tour. Oh my God, you're really on tenterhooks there. Like, so make sure that you attend your sessions. There are campus tours and there will be other things. And I believe the SU have Harris Shield tomorrow. If you don't know what it is, you should be getting further information. But if not, you can go and ask them yourselves as well. And if you have not registered, can you please do so before you go, or leave me your student number. Thank you very much. Have a great week, okay? And I hope to see you after. Don't need to clap, don't worry. Off you go.